has had a realization that actually Krishna is God, and we must treat him very respectfully. And so he tells Nanda Maharaj, no more wagging your finger at him, and Mother Yashoda, no more tying him up, because he's very wonderful, amazing person. He is the absolute truth. And Nanda Maharaj said, wait a minute. He's not the absolute truth. Listen, I know his father. He's not the absolute truth. He is a liar. Yes. He steals the butter and we catch him. And he just insists, no, it wasn't me. And things like that. Anyway. Yes, so Krishna's known as Leela Purushottama, the Supreme Person, who is particularly notable for his pastimes, incredible pastimes. Whereas Lord Ram is known as Maryada Purushottama. Purushottama means the Supreme Person, but Maryada means he really upholds the rules and regulations, very formal. And Lord Krishna, he had his parents, there were the gopis, he had conjugal relationships with them. There were his friends, the cowherd boys. And Lord Ram, he also had his parents. He only had one wife, just one, Ekapatni Vrata, a vow to take only one wife, which, by today's standards, of course, we could say that's not unusual. What's special about that? That's what, everyone does pretty much. But in those days, the men, particularly the royalty, the Kshatriyas, the warriors, they would have a number of wives. Dasarath, the father of Lord Ram, had how many? Three. Vasudev, the father of Krishna, had 16. Sure. Yes, but Lord Ram, Ekapatni Vrata, one wife, and on any subject, if there was ever a decision to be made, one word, and not sort of, double talking, anything like that. One wife, one word, and for his enemy, one arrow. Yeah. So like that, Lord Ram has his own character. Although he is Krishna, he's not another person like you and me and each one of us here. Each one of us is very much an individual person. And there's not like a duplicate anywhere. So, but Lord Krishna, actually there's millions and billions and nobody knows how many forms, but it's all one person. But he's displaying himself in different ways to different degrees. It's a science, actually. And Hanuman is the great devotee of Lord Ram. His parents are there and his wife is there, Sita Devi. But Sita Devi, her relationship, of course, it was very affectionate, but it was also very formal. We don't really hear of them embracing. You hear of Krishna and the gopis embracing, kissing sometimes. You don't really hear that with Lord Ram and Sita. Have you heard of that? No. Because they didn't really do it. Because she, even though his wife, and we all know what that generally means, it's such a close relationship. But there was, in her mind, was a mood of servitude, being a servant, looking after her husband in a loving way, but more like in a serving way than being like openly affectionate. And then friends. Well, Hanuman is the best known of the friends, to my knowledge. And Hanuman, if you remember, those of you who are familiar with the pastimes, you remember that at the end, when everything, Ravana was killed, Sita was rescued, they all returned back to Ayodhya, and Lord Ram was feeling so appreciative of Hanuman for all the service he rendered, and Lord Ram embraced him. The Ram Hanuman Milap. And Hanuman felt embarrassed. But Krishna, with his cowherd boyfriends, they race against each other, they wrestle with each other. The cowherd boys wrestle with Krishna. Can you believe it? And sometimes they sort of talk down to Krishna. What is this whining sound?
It's the amp.
It's the amp?
Yes, for the mic.
Is it alive? Okay, anyway, we'll just carry on. Yes, so the friends of Krishna, because Krishna loves his friends so much, when they have competitions, which is every day they have competitions, then oftentimes he lets them win. And he doesn't come, first, or he may come last, just because he loves them. So he wants to let them win. So Krishna has a reputation for being a bit of a loser. And when sometimes they have team competitions of different sorts. And they're two of the cowherd boys, they're the leaders of two parties, and one by one they choose other, members to be on their team, but nobody chooses Krishna because he's a loser. He always comes last. And in the end, there's only Krishna left. And the one leader says to the other, "Do you want Krishna?" And the other one says, "No, you can have him. It's okay." It's all transcendental. So, like this. And they're all friends. But the relationship between Lord Ram, between Hanuman's attitude towards Lord Ram, he would never do a thing like that. Never. He's like very strictly the servant. So when Lord Ram embraced him, Hanuman didn't know what to do with his hands. Should I just stand there and be embraced? Or should I participate in the embrace? Or what should I do? It's interesting, the difference in mood. And Lord Ram, just embraced him and didn't sort of insist, come on, you must embrace me back. Because he's in the mood that he's the Lord. All right. He's the Lord, so don't talk back. Right. So there's all sorts of interesting and sometimes amazing stories about Hanuman. In the beginning, if you're familiar with Ramayana a bit, well, actually, talking about in the beginning, let us begin by reading a verse or two even, spoken by Hanuman himself. This first one is from the Nectar of Devotion. Hanuman says, Bhavabandha chide tasyai, sprihayami namuktaye, bhavan prabhur aham dasa, iti yatra vilupyate, which means, Hanuman says, I do not desire liberation that cuts the bondage of material life like salvation. I don't want that liberation, salvation, because in that state of liberation, awareness that you are the master and I am the servant disappears. Because now I think I'm liberated, there I am. And another one, I'm not sure where it comes from, Srinathe Janaki Nathe Abeda Paramatmani Tatapi Mama Sarvasvam Rama Kamala Lochana. And again, this is Hanuman speaking. Although he is not different from Lord Narayan, lotus-eyed Lord Ram alone is the be-all and end-all of my life. This is the foundational, fundamental attitude of Hanuman. He is the servant of Ram, and that's that. So, but in the beginning, he was a mischievous, it's a bit of a long story. He was a mischievous young monkey getting up to monkey business. And what happened in terms of his birth, now you may have heard he's the son of Vayu, therefore he's the brother of Bhima. You may have also heard he is the son of Lord Shiva. Did you hear that? Yes, both these ideas are they're around, they're there. What happened was that Lord Shiva and Mother Parvati, they took the form of monkeys and they were having some pastimes together, and in the course of that, they conceived a child in the forms of monkeys. But then shortly after, Parvati thought, oh no, I already have a son who's like half elephant. I don't want to have a monkey. So she told Lord Shiva, you've got to do something with this embryo. It's still just embryo, not born yet. You got to do something with this embryo, please. So, without harming the embryo of Hanuman, Lord Ram, Vayu owed him a favor. So he went to Vayu and said, listen, I have this embryo here. Can you please take it and look after it? Please, because you owe me a favor. So Vayu felt, okay, I have to do it, because Lord Shiva's his senior. So he took the embryo, but now he's male. What's he going to do with an embryo? So he gave the embryo to Anjana, who was the wife of, what's his name? Keshari, the king of the monkeys. And she took that embryo into her body, and she actually gave birth as such to Hanuman. So therefore, he's Anjaneya. He's the son of Anjana. He can be said to be the son of Vayu, and certainly the son of Shiva and Parvati. It's an interesting situation like that. And of course, he was a mischievous young fellow And he was very fond of many things, but one thing he was very fond of was eating prasadam. He was very fond, and particularly fruit. So one day, Anjana was busy, and at that time we say Hanuman, but he hadn't received the name Hanuman yet. So Anjaneya was hungry, as usual, and he said, Mata, give me something to eat, I'm hungry, give me some fruit, give me some fruit. And she said, listen, you're growing up, you go get your own fruit. And he said, where will I find fruit? She said, up in the trees. Just look for things which are red, yellow, like that. That's fruit, and eat it. So he looked up in one tree, and what did he see? Through the branches, he saw the sun. So he went flying up, and he took the sun in his mouth, and the whole universe became dark. I know you're all familiar with this story, right? Right? Right. Sort of. But anyway, repetition of a good thing is good. So darkness, suddenly darkness in the middle of the day. And Lord Indra was having a GBC meeting, Temple Council, Universe Council meeting. And suddenly they're just in darkness. And you know what he said? Don't tell me it's load shedding. I heard you haven't had load shedding for a few weeks or a month or something. 3 weeks. Don't worry, the day after the election. Let's say no more. So Indra got sort of agitated. He could hear Hanuman sort of, or Anjaneya, off in that direction somewhere. He took his Vajra, his thunderbolt, lightning bolt weapon, and hurled it in that direction. And it hit Anjaneya in the jaw and partially damaged his jaw. Therefore, Anjaneya became known as Hanuman, one whose jaw was damaged, not like broken, but damaged. Yeah. So then Hanuman was not happy about that. All the demigods were not happy because the universe was dark. So the demigods came and spoke with Hanuman to try and get him to release the sun. But he was just not in the mood to cooperate. So Lord Brahma said, listen, you can live as long as me, which means he's the longest living person in the universe. You can live as long as me. Could you give the sun back, please? No. And Vayu came and said, you can be as fast as me. Can you give the sun back, please? No. And Agni came and said, you will never be burnt by fire. This is how he wasn't burnt, when he set Lanka on fire. Could you give the sun back? No. And then Lord Brahma did a little mind reading. You see, advanced devotees can read other devotees' minds. That's true. It's very true. And in other cases, somewhat advanced devotees can just look at the face of another devotee the face and their mannerisms and understand what's going on in their mind. So, but anyway, Lord Brahma read his mind. What was he thinking of? What was he thinking of? Fruit. So, Lord Brahma and Brihaspati, they told Hanuman, you can have as much fruit as you like. Just an endless supply. And you can understand the natures of all plants. And like if they have medicinal qualities, which plant has which medicinal quality, and all this type of thing. And just, the nutritional value of all the different plants and vegetables, etc. And an endless supply of fruit. Could you give the sun back? Oh, all right then. So he gave the sun back. Yeah. So that's a famous story from the beginning. There's another famous story, which again you all know, is that he was mischievous, as we said. And one day, there was a sage who was a very sort of paka Brahmin sage. He did everything right. If he ever touched his reader, he would then wash his fingers. If he ever touched anything, if he ever touched you, he'd wash his fingers. Like that, he was just really strictly in the mode of goodness. And as a result, he was a bit sort of very formal and kind of dry and not much fun. He wasn't a fun type of person. And Hanuman wanted to have a joke at his expense so he could laugh at him. So what Hanuman did, he caught a tiger and an elephant. He tied the tiger just by the front door of this devotee Brahmin's hut. And he tied the elephant just outside the back door. And it was early morning. And all these sages and Brahmins and people, they get up early in the morning and then they pass urine, pass stool, then they take bath, then they're ready for the day. So this Brahmin devotee, he woke up and, he's just ready to use the toilet. Better rush outside, open the front door. What? There's a tiger there looking him right in the eyes. What? Close the door. What happened? Okay, I'll go out the back door. Back door. There's an elephant there. So he couldn't move. And he needed to use the bathroom badly. And you know what that's like, don't you? Who has not experienced that? So he was sort of, he was not happy. It was a struggle. And then Hanuman came and laughed and took away the animals. And the sage opened the door and Hanuman said, ha, ha, ha. And this Brahmin devotee cursed him. You will forget your strength. You'll think you're just an ordinary monkey. Until someone reminds you particularly, specifically. So Hanuman then, it was like that. He lost his strength, or he lost sight of his strength. So, yes, let's move on to his first meeting with Lord Ram. That took place just immediately after Mother Sita was kidnapped. Hanuman and his team of monkey associates just happened to arrive on the scene, and Lord Ram was in deep transcendental separation from Mother Sita. It was really quite extreme. It's interesting, Valmiki Ramayana, there are different versions, but anyway, it's about 4 or 5 chapters, and it's just Lord Ram expressing his mood of separation and transcendental distress. It's intense, with a capital I and a capital N and a capital E and everything. It's just super intense. What? So, and Hanuman and company show up. Right now, it's just very shortly after she was kidnapped, same day. And he understands, this is Ram. He is my Lord. Wow. And now, his wife has been taken. I must help. We must help. Me and my friends, we must help. And we know all the forest areas around here and just all over. So we'll find her. But now he couldn't speak with Lord Ram because he was just too much into that mood of transcendental distress and separation. You know this story? Do you know the story? Do you know the story? You don't? She doesn't probably nobody does. You don't know the story? Okay, I'll tell you the story. So, Hanuman, he's excited. He can't speak to Lord Ram. He's never seen Sita. But he wants to help. He wants to find her. So he approaches Lakshman, the brother. He says, yes, well, here we are, me and my team of monkeys, and we want to help. We're going to find Sita so Ram can rescue her, rescue her. So Lakshman, please, just one thing, just tell me what she looks like. And Lakshman said, I don't know what she looks like. And Hanuman thought this was very strange because, they'd been together for, 13 or 14 years, 24/7. And before that, they were in the palace in Ayodhya for some time. And Sita is the sister of Lakshman's wife. So, they just see each other every day. But Lakshman says in a very sort of solemn way, I don't know what she looks like. And Hanuman doesn't know what to make of it. He said, no, come on. We want to help. So please, tell me, what does she look like? And Lakshman said, I don't know what she looks like. And Hanuman became a little angry. Come on, will you please? Don't play a game with me. Just tell me what she looks like. And Lakshman said, I do not know what she looks like because I have never looked above her feet. And then Lakshman gave very beautiful description of the lotus feet of Mother Sita. And when Hanuman, shortly after, jumped over to Lanka and was looking around and then found Sita eventually in the Ashok Grove, one thing was he had Ram's ring and he showed that and Sita recognized, It's Ram's ring. But, if you think about it, some of you may even be jewelers, someone here, you make rings. And it's easy to duplicate a ring. And, Hanuman still didn't know what she looked like. So he was going around asking, is your name Sita? No. But any one of those women could have said, yeah, sure. So then he would pull out the ring, and, who knows what would happen. But anyway, Sita recognized the ring. But the thing is, then he looked at her feet, and under the soles of her feet, particularly, there were markings. We all have markings under the soles of our feet. Don't look now, but we all have them. And, little squirrels and thingies and whatever. But, Krishna, Lord Chaitanya, Lord Ram, Sita, Radharani, they have markings on the soles of their feet, like an elephant goad, an actual, like an instrument, a fish. These things are, in some cases, clearly there. You can see them very clearly. So Sita also has some specific markings. And when Hanuman saw those markings, then he answered, this is definitely Sita, because nobody else is going to have such markings. It's out of the question. So then Hanuman thought, well, I found her, and, I feel pretty good. I jumped all the way over. Different things happened on the way, actually. But anyway, I jumped all the way over. I'm feeling pretty good. I think I can jump back. Maybe I can just carry her back and hand her over to Lord Ram, and that'll be the end of the story. And, we don't have to worry about, having a big battle and all that. But then he thought, no. Lord Ram, who is my master, he has vowed he will save Sita. So I don't want to interfere with his vow. So he left her. But then he thought in his way that, okay, here I am. And I can go back now and tell Ram I found her. I know exactly where she is. But I think let me just have a bit of fun before I go. So it's a bit of a long story, but he started smashing. It was an ashok grove. If you're familiar with ashok trees, they're very narrow and tall. We have a number of them by Radharanath temple, just around the moat. So he started smashing things. And again, it's a bit of a long story. The word got back to Ravana that there's someone in the Ashok Grove who's smashing it. And so Ravana sent warriors and groups of warriors down, but none of them returned. They all went to the place of no return. Like the prasadam at the end of the program. So Ravana couldn't figure out what is going on. He sent, this is a bit, I don't want to put you off your prasadam, and it's good you're all sitting down. But there was one who came, and somehow or other, what happened? Hanuman stuck his finger in his navel, you know about that one, and lifted it up and sort of squiggled it around. And all the man's innards came out. Haribol. The heroes, the Kshatriya types, they're very happy to hear things like that. And there was one, and he was what you might call a big mouth. You know what I mean. He liked the sound of his own voice. And not only that, but when he would speak, he would really enunciate the words, if you know what I mean. He would really, he wouldn't just sort of mumble to himself. Yeah. So he came down and he saw, who's doing all this nonsense? Look, it's a monkey. And this man, he's a big general, he said, well, who are you? And Hanuman did not say, I am Hanuman. He said, I am the servant of Ram. And now this man, he was just one of the demons, really one of the bad guys. And he really had a bad attitude towards Lord Ram. So he said, Ram, you're a servant of Ram. What sort of fool are you? And he started criticizing and minimizing Lord Ram, which you don't do in front of Hanuman. It's, you'll get what they call in computer circles the blue screen of death. If you know what I mean. Anyway, it's a fatal mistake, fatal error which you can't recover from. So, and this man's speaking, in the way that he would speak and criticizing Lord Ram, and Hanuman's just, too angry. But before he could strike the man or do something like that, suddenly Hanuman felt a great urge of nature calling him. Nature was just screaming out to him, come on. You know what I mean? If you don't know what I mean, don't worry. You don't want to get too X-rated. He just had to urinate. So what he did, this man is talking away. He urinated in his mouth. And the man was in shock. He's a big warrior. Nobody's done anything like this to me before. He didn't know how to respond or react or what to do. He ran. He ran back to Ravana. And Ravana said, so what's going on down there? Who is it? And the general said, it's a monkey. And Ravana said, did you kill the monkey? No, he urinated in my mouth. And then Hanuman just very shortly after jumped back. And Lord Ram, somehow or other, he knew about this event, what had happened. Well, of course, he allowed himself to be caught and lit up Lanka, but then he jumped back. So Lord Ram knew what had happened. Maybe he checked his WhatsApp. Telegram is higher level than WhatsApp. Anyway, so Lord Ram said to Hanuman, I heard that one general came and confronted you, big Kshatriya, and you urinated in his mouth. Hanuman said, yes. And Lord Ram said, but he was a Kshatriya. You should have fought with him. Why did you do that? And Hanuman said, well, I'm a monkey. Sometimes we do things like that. So anyway, let's see here. Okay, I can tell you a couple more stories. Couple more. Well, you know the story of Narada's Veena getting stuck in the rock? You know that story. Okay, that's the story. But Narada Muni is a great singer, you know, he plays the Veena, sort of like a simplified sitar type of instrument. And he travels around singing, and he really appreciates good singing. And one day he heard that this Hanuman is an amazing singer. Sometimes when he sings, rocks melt. And Narada Muni thought, wow, really? Who's our best singer here? Oh, Bhima Prabhu, yeah.
Actually, you, Mark.
No, I just screamed. Did rocks ever melt when you sang? Never? Not once? Not yet? Keep working at it. So anyway, so Narada Muni arrived. This was actually when he's still Anjaneya, or unknown, but when he's still living at home with his mother. And Narada Muni found Hanuman and said, could you please sing for me? So Hanuman sang some Ram Bhajan, some Ram Dun. Have you heard Ram Duns? It's sort of in between Kirtan and Bhajan. Yeah. And Narada Muni sat down and was just listening. And there was some rocks, like some rocks just right behind. He put his Veena on a rock because he didn't, something that Veena's like sacred. Yeah, so he didn't want to just put it on the ground, so he put it on the rock. And now he's listening and just totally captivated. But then somehow he partially turned around at some point and saw the rocks were melting. And the Veena had already sunk partially within the rock that it had been standing on. And Narada Muni panicked. And he shouted out to Hanuman, stop singing! Stop now! Hanuman was shocked. Wow, what happened? What is it? Didn't you like my singing? Now look, my Veena, it's sunk into the rock. What am I going to do? And then Narada said, oh, I know. Could you sing again, please? So the rock will melt again, and then I can pull out the Veena. And Hanuman said, forget it. Forget it. He's a little like that sometimes. He gets into a mood. Forget it. First you ask me to sing, so I sing. Then you shout at me and tell me I must stop. And now you want me to sing again? Come on. Forget it. Goodbye. And he walked off back into the palace with Narada Muni following him, appealing to him and saying, no, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean it. Like that. So Hanuman walked into the palace and he went from room to room to room to room, through all the rooms downstairs and upstairs, into all the rooms, one after the other. And then he came out with Narada following him all the way. And Anjana, Hanuman's mother, came and chastised Hanuman and said, listen, Hanuman, don't you know who this is? This is Narada Muni. He's a great saintly devotee. Don't you treat him like this. If he wants you to sing again, you sing for him. All right? You stop being like this. And Hanuman said, yeah, no, I know that. I know that. I just wanted him to leave the dust from his lotus feet in every room in our palace. That was all. I took him around. But now I'm going to go out and sing again. So he did, and Narada got his Veena back. And, well, let me just tell you one more. Nice story. At the end of the battle, Lord Ram, all the soldiers, monkey soldiers, bear soldiers, just everyone, has helped so much, just so much. And Ram gave everyone a gift. And, like some gold, a necklace, a jewel, a gem, really very valuable things. And all of them, so many, giving. Hanuman is standing back. But Lord Ram apparently doesn't notice. He's just giving and giving. Finally, last person, he gives the last piece of jewelry. That's it. And then he sees Hanuman. He says, "Oh, Hanuman, I'm so sorry. I've given everything away, and I didn't give you anything. I'm really sorry." Hanuman said, "No problem. No problem. I didn't want any, gold or necklace or jewelry. I don't want anything like that. But I do want one thing from you. But it's just a very small, tiny thing. Just a tiny little thing I want from you." And Hanuman and Lord Ram said, "Okay, you tell me, what do you want?" And Hanuman said, "All I want from you, just a small thing. I just want your name. Just give me your name, Ram, and let me chant your name. Let that be my wealth." And Lord Ram was very happy. He said, "Yes, you can have my name." Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Rama. Shri Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman Ki.
Jai.
Shri Ram Navami Mahotsava Ki.
Jai.
Shri Hanuman Jayanti Ki.
Jai.
Go Premanandi.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, devotees, there we go. So we will now have Arati. Is that okay?
What different plants could do.
Yes.
But then when he needed to get the herbs for Lakshman after Lakshman was shot with the arrow, he didn't know which herbs to get and he took the whole mountain. So I just wanted to clarify about that.
Yeah, well, he was it was all in the middle of the battle. It was like a wild scene. And Lakshman, it looks like Lakshman may die. And, so he forgot. Did you ever forget something that you know about? How many of us have got 100% in our exams? But we all heard, what they test us on, but we forget. So he forgot, so he took the whole mountain. Thank you. Tricky point. Anyone else? Mataji, yes.
Maharaj, I'm just a bit confused. I've heard two versions of how the Ramayana ends. Does it end with Mother Sita going and being pregnant with Love and Kush and living with Valmiki, or did the earth open up and that's how Mother Sita?
Yeah, the more authentic version is that the earth opened up and she returned to the earth from where she'd come. There are different versions of a number of things. Like there's a version that when Lord Ram came across, if you've been there, where they left to go to Lanka, it's actually an island where the Rameshwaram temple is and Dhanuskoti and those places. I think Dhanuskoti got washed away a few years ago. Yeah, it's an island, quite a big island. and it's a few kilometers from the actual mainland. So there's a version that Lord Ram worshipped Lord Shiva to get some mercy or some positive something to cross over. But then there are other versions. This is there are different versions of Valmiki Ramayana. And Valmiki Ramayana is Vedic. It's actually Vedic. Of course, there's Tulsi Das's Ramcharita Manas, but that's, a very recent creation. It's not Vedic. And so there are other versions that he didn't worship Lord Shiva. And the Bhagavatam says, 9th canto, chapter 10, that what Lord Ram did, he took, what did he take? Anyway, he threatened the ocean. He threatened the ocean. You let me pass, or else. I think he said he's going to dry up the ocean, something along those lines. And so the ocean came, Varuna came, and said, no, please don't do that. But as a service to you, you have your people or monkeys throw rocks into me, and I'll make sure they float. So in that way they built the bridge. But there's no mention of worshipping Lord Shiva. Haribol.
Talking about Sita in the ground, going back to the ground. The king was plowing the land with his plow. He needed a metal box. When he opened the box, find a baby. The point of the plow is called seat. And then Sita got the name Sita. And then that mother he beat me to the draw. I was about to say about the mountain, but the love what Hanuman had for the family of Ram, Lakshmana and Sita. And you remember that herbal plant, Sanjeev, the herbal plant. When he couldn't find it, he cleared the whole mountain. Thank you, Mother.
Hare Krishna. Hare Rama.
Hare Rama.
Okay. So I think, there was someone else. Was it? No? Okay. All right, devotees.